What goes around really does come back, and Marina Mabrey just found that out the hard way. After pulling a dirty move on Caitlin Clark that honestly should have gotten her tossed from the game, she walked off like nothing could touch her. The refs barely gave her a warning, and even though the WNBA later upgraded the foul, it all felt pretty quiet. Mabrey even took to TikTok, joking about making money off the whole situation, but just 3 days later, Paige Bueckers delivered the kind of payback the officials didn't. Call it instant karma. Do you think that's what it was? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's go.
The Sheldon viciously poked Caitlin Clark in the eye, and as she was reeling from that, Marina Mabrey came in with the Kennedy Carter body slam, heard around the world, just slammed into the side of Caitlin Clark and sent her viciously.
The second Marina Mabrey threw herself into Caitlin Clark and sent her crashing to the ground, you could feel the whole arena freeze. This wasn't some random bump during a fast break. It was a full-speed blindside hit, and it happened right after JC Sheldon had already scratched Clark's eye. Mabrey saw that Clark was already getting frustrated and chose to throw fuel on the fire.
Oh, and Marina Mabrey's going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected.
Well, they're going to go and look at it.
All they had to do was just eject her. All they had to do was eject her, and none of this happens. If the referees had ejected Marina Mabrey, nothing else happens. The Sophie Cunningham situation does not.
Let's call it like it is. Mabrey sprinted across the court with no plans to make a real basketball move. She launched her whole body into Clark like she was suiting up for the Indianapolis Colts. The hit knocked Clark backward, and the look on her face said it all. She was stunned. That wasn't just a foul, it felt more like a cheap shot hiding behind the game. The crowd reacted instantly. Even fans who don't follow basketball closely could tell that what happened completely crossed the line. Cameras around the arena caught people jumping out of their seats, pointing at the replay in disbelief. Commentators didn't hold back either. They called it what it was, an intentional, aggressive move that didn't belong anywhere in pro basketball.
Of course, many of you were like, can we ban her? I said I thought she ought to get 10 games for the incident, really and truly. And part of that is simply put, send the rest of the league a message. The WNBA missed an opportunity to take that. By the way, referees completely bleeped that whole thing up. I mean, they effed it up royally, right? And then after the fact, they came back and said, oh yeah, it's a flagrant 2. You don't say. You don't say. Kathy Engelbert, get some real referees and fire every.
Here's where things just got ridiculous. The refs reviewed that clear body check and somehow decided all Mabrey deserved was a technical foul, but it didn't stop there. They also hit Clark with a tech for pushing back after getting poked in the eye. Yep, you read that right. The one who got hit ended up penalized, while the one who started it all basically got off easy. Coach Stephanie White was livid, and rightfully so. After the game, she told reporters, "I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen." White didn't hold back, calling out the league for not protecting Clark and saying this issue had been brewing all season. She was done staying quiet. The WNBA clearly realized they'd dropped the ball. Hours later, they quietly upgraded Mabrey's foul to a flagrant 2, which was basically an admission that the officials got it wrong. But at that point, it didn't really matter. Mabrey had already left the court feeling untouchable.
Clark gets poked in the eye. Marina Mabrey doesn't even see what happens, and she just decides to clean Caitlin Clark out of it. And the referees just said, nah, it was not worth an injection. So Caitlin dribbles. Look at how far she is away from the ball, by the way. Look at how far she is away from the ball. Like, that's literally, she's nowhere near the ball. She just jumps at her face. And then she belly bumps Caitlin. Caitlin retaliates by shoving in an unsportsmanlike manner, according to the referees. And then Marina Mabrey just comes from nowhere.
Guess what Mabrey did after all that? She went on TikTok and bragged about the whole thing, saying, "Every time they comment, I make dollars." She was actually proud of body checking Clark and walking away without real consequences. Mabrey really thought she had played the system and found a way to cash in on a dirty move.
But Marina Mabrey commented on TikTok about the whole situation, and this is what she said. "Every time they comment, I make dollars." So lads, today the referees gave the report on the situation, and it's even worse. It's even worse than I imagined. and it was pretty.
The WNBA referees have just put out their official report on the Connecticut Sun mess, and somehow it's even more frustrating than anyone expected. Their reasons for singling out Caitlin Clark while seeming to shield the players who went after her are so out there that fans are completely outraged. This report basically confirms all the concerns people had about biased officiating in the league.
Why was JC Sheldon's foul upgraded to flagrant one? In the judgment of the officials, the foul by Sheldon was unnecessary. The contact to Clark's face. Furthermore, there was a wind-up and impact, and the contact to face carries potential for injury. How did you come to the conclusion that that is a flagrant one? How did you come up to the conclusion that it was unnecessary? There was a wind-up, and it was to the face. The three of them that is a flagrant 2. By definition, you've described a flagrant 2.
After reading the refs' weak explanations, you really have to wonder, is the WNBA purposely trying to bring Caitlin Clark down? The official referee report from the Connecticut Sun versus Indiana Fever game just came out, and honestly, it's one of the clearest signs yet that something is seriously off with the league's officiating. These refs didn't just miss the mark. They completely exposed their bias against Caitlin Clark, all while going out of their way to protect the players who went after her. Let's break down this report because every single excuse they give somehow makes them look worse. It's like watching someone admit to doing something wrong while trying to argue that they're still innocent. First up, the explanation for why JCS Sheldon's eye-gouging hit on Clark was only labeled a flagrant 1 instead of the obvious flagrant 2 and automatic ejection. The ref said Sheldon's foul was unnecessary with wind-up and impact to Clark's face that carries potential for injury. Read that again, slowly. They literally described a textbook flagrant 2 and still decided to call it a flagrant 1.
Unnecessary contact. Wind up and unnecessary. The two of those can be a flagrant 2. And face. You have described why was it a flagrant 2. You have just described a flagrant 2 as your answer for why it was upgraded to a flagrant 1. You have just described.
The definition of a flagrant 2 includes unnecessary contact, a wind-up, and the possibility of injury. The refs literally mentioned all three of those in their explanation for why it wasn't a flagrant 2. It's like saying someone committed murder but only charging them with jaywalking. Their explanation makes zero sense and just shows how the decision was clearly made ahead of time. What makes this even more frustrating is that Sheldon's hit had absolutely nothing to do with playing the game. Clark was dribbling with her left hand when Sheldon swiped at her right eye. The ball wasn't even close to where the contact happened. This wasn't some accidental bump during a regular play. It was a clear, intentional move to hurt the league's biggest star. And yet, somehow, the refs still downplayed it. Now let's look at their weak excuse for why Marina Mabrey didn't get ejected after charging across the court and body checking Clark to the floor during a dead ball. The officials claim Mabrey's hit did not rise to the level of an ejection and didn't meet the flagrant foul standards. So apparently, as long as it's Caitlin Clark getting hit after the whistle, it's all fine. The Mabrey play was so obviously over the line that even casual fans were calling for her to be tossed out of the game as it happened. There was no basketball reason for her to be anywhere near Clark, let alone slamming into her. It was pure payback meant to rattle and possibly hurt her. But somehow, in the eyes of these biased refs, that's just part of the game.